to the upstairs.
All right, we got it.
Hey, Bobby, we're live.
Yes. Yeah. Just make sure I hit that. Got it.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We are now on to another week of a wonderful, amazing, beautiful, glorious day of virtual tasting with each other here. And I'm so glad and elated that y'all invite us once again into your houses to enjoy these beautiful wines. Just want to say thank you, Dr. Becker. Thank you, John. Thank you, Kaylin, once again for coming all together to do this and be together and with all these amazing people out there that have great questions and just great friends that we've built relationships with. So this series or this beginning of a kind of a series, spring into spring, ready for this cold weather to be over. We are enjoying the 3 vintages of of our Primavera spring. So to kind of get ready and get upcoming for spring. So Dr. Becker, if you'd like to kind of start with some beautiful, amazing words that you usually have for us. And
for the 101st time, just to thank all the people who helped us fought their way through this pandemic. It's better. It's not completely gone. It's going to be around. I think we're getting more and more people vaccinated, which protects more and more of the population. So I want them to know that we've not forgotten them in the slightest. All the soldiers in this war, and so it's great. But it's great fun to have spring in our studies in our Italian series of the spring, summer, winter, and fall. This is a great choice, Bobby. We're 2 weeks from the spring equinox and the first day of spring, so this will be a treat. But these wines, John, are whoosh. I mean, I'm so glad Bobby burrowed under the winery and found
Right.
these old bottles. And I'm so glad that we're sending them out to people who are interested. And it's it's really a nice thing. Nice idea, Bobby. Thank you.
yes, sir, you're welcome. And I believe we're going to start off with our 18 vintage of Primavera, which this comes from our wine club block. Which
It even
is
says so
cool
on the bottle.
Yes, it does.
Wine Club block. Yeah, we had fun. Well, we were getting grief from the wine club members about when's the wine going to come out, and I'm like, you harvested it, you got to let it barrel age for a couple of years first. So, but we decided to put that in there. So there are a few other things in there, but it's dominantly the Sangiovese from the wine club box. So it's a nice little super Tuscan going on.
It
here.
is.
So, Kaylin, what do you get on the nose?
So the first thing I picked up on the nose was, I think the American oak. I picked up like a hint of coffee edge, maybe a little pyrazine on it. But it gives way into quite a bit of bright red fruit. I'm thinking cherries and pomegranate, maybe even on the edge of cranberry. And there's an earthier note there, something with like a little salinity that I can't quite nail down, but it's gorgeous on the nose. And I accidentally poured my wines, and then I was like, oh no, I'm not sure which is the 15 or the 18. And I smelled it, and I was like, oh yeah, that is the 18. So it's very distinctive, and it's beautiful.
Right on. So Bobby, what are you getting?
For me, I'm getting a lot of the star anise, the black licorice, the almost dried fennel characteristics just kind of popping up at me. A little bit of currant notes, so almost like a black currant. But just a beautiful wine. Really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice herbaceous notes to it as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, I hate to do this. You guys are going to have to carry me for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, there's somebody walking through the yard that I need to direct to the right place.
Yeah.
But
All right.
I will be right back.
Yes, sir. We'll be right here.
Okay. Well, this is a blend of this series was basically celebrating Merlot because I thought that no winemaker in Texas has ever made Merlot like John does, and
Right.
and we had such great sources of Merlot that we to work with, and so John began making a different expression of Merlot and a different blend with each season, and so these are three of the his spring thoughts. And a cross with Barbera and Cab and Petit Syrah. And Petit Syrah is usually we're trying to find where these great wine grapes came from. Are they thousands of years old? Were they, when did they first appear? What's their origin? In the case of this, the origin is a greenhouse, and it was a cross by a horticulturist named Francois Durif. And in many places, this Petit Syrah is called Durif. And he made a cross between Syrah and Pilosan. And here it is. It's been famous for its dark chocolate notes. And I think the expression of that is present in this wine. But it's a cross of Syrah and another grape. And it's I think the presence here is very good.
So Pelourson, is that a varietal that's still present today? Is it showcased much, or it's pretty
No,
obscure?
not much. And I really don't know. I don't want to make things up, but
Right.
I've never tasted Pelourson by itself, but it was certainly around. This was the cross happened in 1860. So it's just fun. It's a fun thing to know about.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, when people ask about the Petite Syrah, they're like, "Is it like a Syrah?" I was like, "No, it's got a lot more depth of flavor, a lot more tannic structure to it."
Uh-huh.
And but yeah, what it does showcase in this is just beautiful. That the deep tannin structure to it, definitely a little bit more color extraction. You can see it's a little deeper hue to it. Because Sangiovese and Barbera, they're lighter varietal, so you're not going to get a lot of big color out of it. But
Is the Petit Syrah from our vineyard, our front vineyard?
I would believe so. So this is hill country fruit. So it's either a blend of our Petit Syrah and Drew's or just ours.
I think, yeah, probably ours, I'm guessing.
Right. I would believe so. And we got Kaylin back. So we're bringing Kaylin back in. But yeah, this is a beautiful wine. Hi, Kaylin.
Hey, my computer
And John.
restart.
Sorry,
It made
guys.
perfect sense. An ideal time for it.
I fully
Perfect.
apologize.
We were talking about the plantings, the cross pollination of the Pelourson and Syrah.
Ah,
So, and
But so John, the Petit Syrah is across in a greenhouse by Francois Durif in 1860
Yeah.
between Syrah and Pilosan. Now, have you ever tasted Pilosan? Have you ever
No,
seen it?
I never have. No,
I haven't either.
I would love to. If I don't even know, is anybody making a straight wine out of it?
Not that I've ever seen.
Investigate. We can do some digging.
We probably will, but
Yeah, we've dug up 20 acres in the back already.
Well,
right next to the Charbonneau.
Yeah, no Charbonneau yet. But yeah, no, we've got a hell of a vineyard project going on right now. So
Gonna be fun. John, is this Petite Syrah that's blended in here from our front vineyard? Do you know? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the and I heard Doc as I was running out to catch the utility guy. I heard Doc talk about that started off with the Merlots, and that was the original revitalization of the La Quattro Stagioni was 4 different Merlot vineyards from the 2012 harvest. And that was one of the wonderful discoveries about the first year of making wine here in Texas in 2012 was how the Merlot appeared and just how beautiful that fruit is. here in Texas. It's just absolute gems up, from all over the place, from our back vineyard all up to Drew, in Mason County, all the way up to the High Plains and in Terry County. Just absolutely fantastic places to grow Merlot.
Mhm.
Wow. Have you switched vintages yet?
No, we
Not
started
yet.
with 18.
Okay, good, because the 18 is still in my glass. I wanted to use, I forgot, Courtney was so very, very nice to order me some of the New World Pinot glasses, or what I call my Somm glasses. She ordered a couple of cases, and I forgot to bring a 6-pack home. I love, with the red wines especially, the concentration that this narrow opening gives to the nose.
I do too. Yes.
Somebody's asking how you spell the grape, Doc. Pilsen.
I didn't say again.
The
I didn't-
the Pilsen, or I can't even pronounce it. How do you spell it?
Pilsen.
PELOURSIN.
OURSIN.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
I love the
I've
way that you're
never-
signing that there, Kayla.
I know. Well, that's, I was like, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And it's easier to keep track of if I'm signing it, so my letters don't get mixed up. But I've never actually heard it said before, the name of the varietal, so this is new to me as well.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now I'm pretty convinced that I want a steak for dinner after smelling this wine.
Me personally, I could go with the eggplant parmesan with this.
Yeah, okay. Look, vegan boy.
I love that idea too. Or both.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the eggplant parmesan on top of the steak.
That's okay. I'm probably going to have a banana and some very watery oatmeal.
Why that?
Huh?
Why?
Why not?
Mm. It sounds sad.
It's not sad.
Well, I had my protein shake after work today, so
Good for you. Yeah, I have some juice to make. So,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I just love this nose. It just keeps giving and
It's-
giving. That's wonderful.
I think so too. Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
I know.
The ducks are looking away. All three of them are looking away.
oh, they are.
The 3 grandchildren just rolled in. That's what they're looking at.
I see.
Oh,
Thought they were looking at that wine bottle that's right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just this. It's just so deep
let's
and
go to the-
rich.
Let's go to the next year and compare them. I think that'd be fun to.
Mhm.
okay.
All right. 2015.
And I believe this is the first vintage that we just had Ready Vineyards on it, right? Am I right or no?
Well, not the first time we've ever had Ready on a label, no, but this is the
Okay.
first time the Quattro Stagioni had there's only 2
Here's
vintage
Joe.
recipes.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening, Joe.
Good
How's
evening,
it going?
Joe.
I'm good. How about you guys?
Fine as
Doing
frogs,
well,
sir.
sir.
Good.
This is the 18, and this is now going to the 15. We're doing Primavera.
You put one over there.
Pardon?
You put another one over there.
Yes. What have I done?
This is the 15.
Uh-huh.
That's a 15. 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the one I had? What?
This is the one you.
All right. Okay, we're good. And what's the blend here, John?
So the blend on this one is the Ready Vineyards Merlot.
Uh-huh. Just 100% Merlot.
It's Ready Vineyards Merlot. Yeah.
That's a great blend.
Yeah, let me double check my blend comps here. I don't believe I put any, I just smelled it. I may have actually put a small amount of Petit Verdot in there.
Mm.
But let me double check.
This is one of my favorites.
It is a beautiful Merlot. I think that's probably about, when we first started thinking about this, well, I guess 12 was, but this is great.
Right.
Wow.
Wow.
This
Primavera.
is the great wine of Pomerol and that bank of the Garonne. that actually came from that region. We're thought to.
Yep, there is just a touch of Petit Verdot from Ready Vineyards in there. Almost just about 2%.
Mhm.
So
Is most of our Petit Verdot from his vineyard?
no, Joe, we get a fair amount of Petit Verdot from Drew.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and Ready, both. So a couple of different sources there. I'm trying to think. I believe that's the only two sources currently. But I think we were planning on putting a little Petit Verdot in our vineyard, not this year, but next year, with the replant of with the planting of 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this year we're redoing some of the Sauvignon Blanc and then planting the Chardonnay and a little bit of the Reef, and then I thought it was the Claret Noir. Oh crap! I've got to go look at. But there's 4 varietals coming in April, so we're busy trying to get the irrigation all lined out and get that in. We've got a couple of heavy weeks in front of us to get that done before the vines arrive.
Huh. How many plants are we going to plant total? How many do we have coming?
Ooh, good enough for about 6 acres, I think. So
1,100 vines per acre.
Pardon?
About 1,100 vines per acre.
Yeah, on the spacing, it's actually going to be a little less, Doc. I think it's going to be about 950 to 1,000. There's the spacing that we're doing, but yeah. So, and then we've got enough. I know we got almost 2,000 Sauvignon Blanc vines coming in, so we're going to replant the ones in the Sauvignon Blanc wine club block that didn't make it from last year's winter. There are a few. There's about 100 of them there that need to go, and then the rest is going to be that. I know you can't really see it from the road, but we tore out a couple of acres of that old Sauvignon Blanc and we're replanting there. Yep. We're actually shifting from the rows that they were on. We're shifting to what would have been the middle of the row. So we're having to redo the irrigation there too, but then we'll have enough for that 2 acres there. So
good.
Well, I have three little elves that I've conscripted into the grape planting team. They don't know it yet, but there's some grape planting in their future.
Well, I just absolutely love torturing. Getting the help.
It's called nurture.
That's nurturing.
Yes, nurture.
That's yeah. Now
I got it. The best part is it's not only is it ag, it's family ag, so you don't have to pay them.
That's true, and I can work them all I want, right?
Exactly.
Don't have to worry about child labor laws.
Not on your family farm.
That's right. I got a boy. Yes, sir.
No, I was going to say, I know that people come to these tastings more to hear my my golf updates about my 10-year-old attempt to his quest to beat dad. But today he was practicing and his golf coach said Nathan said that he wanted to know if he was hitting well enough to beat his grandfather.
I hate that word is round, and I think I could probably guess Nathan's answer, which was affirmative.
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome.
This is beautiful Merlot.
It is.
Yeah.
I think I learned from Joe that the origin of this word is from the French word for blackbird, marrow, and it's the vines, like Cabernet Sauvignon means sort of blackhead. Pinot Noir in Burgundy, the dark slope, the ninth slope because of the dark grapes. Kind of poetic imagination, but
your favorite. Go ahead.
I always loved that this comes from the word for blackbird. And
your favorite Wallace Stevens poem.
It is 13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird. You bet.
Didn't somebody bake a bunch of blackbirds into a pie?
That was before Wallace Stevens, but he took it to another level, John.
So it's interesting that these these 2015s have really just been have really matured nicely. I was thinking about both the 15 Wilmeth and the 15 Canada.
Yes.
And I don't remember anything harvest. Well, I don't remember what sort of a harvest year we had that.
We had a full harvest in 15. It was the first time after 13 that horrendous loss of the 13 crop from that late freeze in May. So in 14, we only had about 50% of expected yields. In 15, we were back to full expected. 15 also marked the year that we jumped our contract amounts up with different growers. So we were on a definite growth phase, and it was a great year to be able to do that, because, you know, it 15 tends to get eclipsed by 17 quite a bit, 17 and 18. But to be honest with you, I think I'd put on par 15 and 18. 18 is going to mature very well, like 15 has. But 15 was a great vintage year after 12. You know, 12 was a really good year. I understand 10, some of the fruit from 10 was very delicious, but 15, I think, was the premier year until 17. So in ranked order, I would go as far as intensity of fruit, I would go 17, 15, 18. And in ranked year of balance, I would put 18 in front of the pack, and closely followed by 15.
And as I recall, one of the things that Jet pointed out on one of his last tastings was that, particularly in 2015, when the grapes were brought in from his vineyard on the same truck as some of the grapes from the Canada vineyard, it just really made those grapes, those wines light up. I mean, particularly those barrel lots.
You've been hanging around with Dwayne Canada, I think, a little bit there, buddy.
Well, Jet did say hi, so he could probably confirm that.
Yeah.
The most amazing thing, though, was when we opened those bins, we found Jed in one of the bins. So he was riding in with his grapes to make sure there was no.
I think Jed would be a good second for the god Bacchus.
Right. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. I just had an image.
They're going to be Joe. Somebody wants to know if your boys are going to be the second generation grape nuts.
I'm working on it. They're already pretty nutty at times. So we just gotta get the grape part now.
Oh, I really saw something perfect for the lunch on Saturday, and I really wanted to order every kid a 1.5 pound gummy bear.
You'd be a friend forever.
So when we came, I will share that when we came over today to do the tasting, I brought my boys. My 10-year-old, very seriously said, because last time their dad always keeps a stock of gummy bears here, and last time they'd run out, and Nathan said, I think I'm going to tell Margaret and Richard where in HEB they keep the gummy bears. So for the next time they go to the store.
Nice. Well, it's very good to be helpful.
Yeah.
I like that they are supporting their own habit a bit.
Right.
Speaking of children monsters, somebody jumped into your lap.
I know. She was upstairs asleep, and then I think she heard me talking and y'all as well, and decided that there must be enough hands to be petted. So she's made it here, but she's not got the greatest camera etiquette. Nor is she very safe around wine glasses. She's convinced they may be able to pet her, and they are not meant for that.
Well, I'm surprised that the bottles are still standing. So
I know. Not super dainty since she's gained weight, but somehow she can still manage to sneak by.
That's right.
So Dad or John, I'd love just to come back to the wine for a second. This is a really delightful wine. I'd just love to hear. To me, this seems like a very definitely more of an old world blend. I really love the Merlot. I don't know if you guys have or other Merlots that this reminds you all of.
For me, John, I'm getting less of the California notes in this wine and more French.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Every taste is amazing.
Yeah, there's definitely a more soft velvet edge to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very silky.
Yeah,
The
there's
tannins
still-
don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's still a bit of acid to this, so it's still a pretty lively wine, which is really nice
It's
to
very,
know.
yeah, very
Yeah.
young.
The tannins are nicely integrated. I'm trying to find a piece of white paper here behind me that I can look at the meniscus on, because I don't think there's too much browning going on in the meniscus yet. I think it's still
Just-
pretty clear.
Tinge.
Yeah, just a tinge. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but it has that nice development. It's developing a nice mature nose, for sure.
Yeah. So Lane Shoothart had a question about the old world, but she said that is this the nose typical of a Merlot?
Mhm.
And assume that when they're blended, they're kind of one note versus complex.
No, it is a good question, and blending blending offers a point of confusion for everyone, including myself. So, Lane, let me go ahead and make it as clear as mud. Yes, the nose on this particular wine is certainly indicative of Merlot. There's a little bit of that deep red fruit edge that you get from Petit Verdot, which is in there, but mostly when you smell it, it immediately screams Merlot. Merlots on their own sometimes can make a full, complete wine, but they tend to lack a little bit of finish and a little bit of, shall we say, upright tannins. For this, I wanted a little more tannic edge to it. This was also at the height of popularity in our blending sessions, where everybody kept suggesting Petit Verdot on everything, including Chardonnay. I think this nose is definitely indicative of Merlot. Now Merlot can run a gambit of things. It can smell like just blackberry bramble bush, all the way up to a very smooth, almost rich chocolate or coffee. So, and those are the pyrazines that you're going to be picking up. Merlot, not quite as many pyrazines as a Cab Franc, but still has some of the similar pyrazine edge that a Cab Franc does. And Joe and Doc, please jump in. I mean, Doc, you have much more experience with Old World Merlot. So, what would you add to that as far as?
I think it's if I compare it to one of the Merlot-based wines, overall that region, it's softer than they would be at this point. It's silkier. That's more kind of a delicate aromatic of kind of blackberry, raspberry, that kind of thing. So it's different. Yes.
Remind me of that. I was thinking about you poured you've told me this 1,000 times. I just can't remember, but you poured a Merlot one time for us, and you sort of duped us. It was sort of overly dark. It was just richer. It didn't it's stronger. It almost tasted like a cab.
It was a Schaefer Hillside Select that was about 40 years old, or 50, and it was just wow, amazing wine. And this is, if I can say that, this is in that direction.
Yeah.
It's just it was sort of magical fruit and richness, and the tannins were there, but they're supportive, not destructive to the palate. And that's what I'm getting here. The Schaefer Hills, John knows much more about this than I do, but the Schaefer that I tasted had more dark notes, of dark chocolate and cassis, that sort of thing. But it was beautiful.
It's interesting, John. Is this the tannins that are just so so smooth in this one? Is this just the Petit Verdot with age that's rounding that out, or is it?
More than likely, yes. Yeah, I would say that was absolutely what's going on. But I love Petit Verdot for that. It does offer a nice silk or a nice velvet to a finish. And that's what makes it so very nice. I mean, it is very hard. Yeah.
And it seems to just ripen so well in Texas. It
does. Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. It's wonderful because there's very uniqueness to these Vinefra varietals here in Texas, but they still taste varietally correct. But there's expressions that you don't find on the West Coast. And that's the part that's a lot of fun. That is the part that is just like, wow, what a treasure. And one of those things like the Merlot, the Petit Verdot, Cabernets as well. One of my favorite things about the Cabs in Texas is that the fruit comes forward no matter how rich and the tannins are, that structure doesn't overpower generally. You can get really good extraction without that almost the enamel off your teeth astringency is not there when it's young. That's something very indicative of West Coast Cabernet. When it's very young, it's got that very puckering quality from all those tannins. So I really think our tannins develop a little quicker, a little longer chains develop quicker for the maturity of the fruit. And I also know that when I came here, the kind of the order of the day was to try to pick, but well before 24 bricks or 25 bricks. Everybody was so concerned about alcohol that they were losing out. I felt that a lot of people were losing out on structure of fruit, mid palate, all of those things that come with phenolic development. And we were just missing the mark on phenolic development. Bricks, and most people are right, bricks is secondarily important to what's actually going on in the grape, but it is a great way to monitor, especially when you're tracking information for years. It's a great way to monitor development of bricks, the pH, the acid, see where those slopes are coming into play. So it gives you a good idea of where the fruit should be. So, but with this, the Petit Verdot certainly kind of mellows that out. Joe, absolutely.
I love it.
Nice.
I just want to say one more thing, John. It's so fun. You've been with us since 2012.
11.
2011. I think it's 2012.
12, yes, June of.
Yeah.
I blended a lot of the 11s. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. It's really fun to finally, we're starting to get, a lot of your wines that have matured. We're finally getting to the point where you can really, and some of these I don't even think have matured yet. This I think is going to be another 5-10 years in the bottle. I mean, I think it's set up to age.
I fully plan on not maturing yet either. So.
Nice. So
yeah, somebody's like, is that the Stag's Leap Schaefer?
Thank you. This is a beautiful.
Yes, it would be.
nice. Nice. Cool.
I have to tell you that I'm just overwhelmed by my friends in Georgia, Barrett and Kitty Hawks. They did a tasting in Atlanta on I guess Saturday night for the mayor and his wife. And Barrett sent me notes saying and featuring our Merlots. I think Barrett understands, as I do, that you've kind of discovered Texas Merlot as a separate entity, a world unto itself, and just that it was that they apparently the mayor and wife just loved this. So
good.
That's he sent me a note about it. I couldn't believe it. I had to read it 3 times, but it was what a treat.
So cool.
No, we could actually all just kind of skedaddle down to Savannah, Georgia. I'm just saying, springtime in Savannah is very pretty.
Okay.
And not that she crab soup season isn't coming up or anything. I think low country cooking will do everybody a little good.
Always.
So John, Kaylin, on this wine, the aromatic is wonderful. The mid palate is what's right now so magical. The finish, the pyrazines are still young, and on John, I want to know if you agree with this, but it's that incredible fruit note on the mid palate is just stunning.
Kaylin, did we get your input on this particular vintage, on this wine? Have you been able to?
I don't think so.
Well, you need to jump in and tell us to be quiet.
Come on.
So it's been a very long time since I've tried this wine. I remember when it was released into the tasting room and the awesome feedback we got then. And especially we also at the same time were pouring the 2014 Merlot, the Inverno from the Becker Vineyards. And to have those side by side for comparison, for why terroir is important, why vintage years matter, all of that was really interesting. But I don't think that I have tried this wine in well over a year, maybe even 2. And it is gorgeous. When I poured it initially, and mind you, I believe I got onto the live tasting or onto the Zoom call and was pouring the wines at 524. So it was a very small window. They had not yet opened up, and I am enjoying the heck out of it. I have almost drank my whole, almost half glass. It's gorgeous in the mid palate, like Doc had mentioned. I pick up some really bright red jammy fruit qualities, maybe a hint of almost raspberry tea, something in that realm. A hint of violet. It's silky, but it does have tannin. It's not overtly astringent by any means. It's beautiful. And I was really, really excited for the 18. The 18 is absolutely gorgeous, but I'm just stunned by the 15, and I'm excited to see what the 12 is like.
Well, it's funny you say that little violet there. I get a bit of a geranium edge there. So I mean, it's 2 ethyl glycol on that edge, that kind of scented geranium, which is really kind of nice.
Well, and I think that this is important to showcase how awesome Merlot is, because I know we've talked about it a number of times on these virtual tastings, after that film Sideways, it all literally went sideways. And I think that even today for my tasting and tour that I had, someone in the group was like, yeah, I don't like Merlot. And I was like, wait a minute, come on now. Is it because you've heard that, or is it really you truly feel that way? And I kind of did a little digging. Do you drink Merlot? Do you drink Merlot based blends? Where all have you tried it? And they'd had one Merlot ever, standalone. And I was like, well, that is not enough to build a consensus that you don't like the thing. It's like trying one jam one time and be like, I hate all jam. It's not how it works. So anyhow, hopefully we can convert them.
I agree, Kaylin. It's funny. There's such a, just as a side point, there's been such a stigma about people are afraid to say that they like Merlot or that they like white wine for some reason. People like to say they like red wine, but these wines are so delicate and complex, like you're saying.
They're certainly worth trying, and I feel like it's strange to limit yourself because of what you heard one time in a movie, or what you've heard as a general consensus, because you'd be missing out. You'd be remiss to skip this wine because you thought you didn't like Merlot.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun to experience new things.
Yeah.
And different expressions. So
yeah, I need to sorry, I'm gonna direct my comment back to Gary. Gary, I'm allowed to take the tires off of my house now, so
Wheels are off.
now on the cinder blocks, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness, shall we move on to the 2012?
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be a hard act to follow.
Really is.
I think we got a shot at it though. Boy.
Right.
Well,
hold on, I'm gonna mute.
He's got it.
He muted himself, but he still did try to explain it.
That's right. Yeah. So 70% Merlot, 30% Syrah. I believe 70% of the Merlot from Jet Wilmoth's property. So thank you, Jet. And then 30%, yeah, the 30% Syrah from our front vineyard. Beautiful. I mean,
this wine really hits. This wine really hits you. I mean, that last one was so powerful on the mid palate. This one, as John would say, front palate. There's just that fruit just explodes out of the glass. Interesting.
And the pyrazines that were still on the finish, or I guess John says the back palate are 5 and 6 on the Merlot are really coming around the corner here. Is just wonderfully smooth wine.
Syrah is such a difficult, it's such a wonderful grape in Texas, but it's hard to grow. And but this is why it's so, I mean, it's so wonderful. It's just give this wine such a rich backbone.
So Bobby, where did you find this wine? Were you tunneling under the winery, or what were you doing? I mean, was this
I hope you don't mind, sir.
I'm delighted.
You better not be tunneling, Bobby.
I mean, I know where the bodies are buried, right? I'm joking. Um, no, but down in the library, there is a whole back, maybe fifth part of the wall downstairs where we store the kind of the single family vineyard designate barrels down in the library. Um, I noticed there was quite a bit of the 12 Primavera, and I was like, you know what? Let's see how this is tasting. So I pulled the bottle off and said, you know what? Spring's coming up. It'd be nice to showcase three separate vintages of the Primavera if we can, if it's tasting well. I'd like to showcase this, and I think it speaks for itself how beautiful it's set up, and it tastes well.
It's interesting. I mean, this seems like like an Australian or South African blend. I mean, Merlot and Syrah. Maybe not as much, not, I feel like not as much acid, but an interesting blend.
It is indeed an interesting blend. It was my first attempt at being a smart aleck.
I don't believe that, John. But John always wants to know what Pliny the Elder thought about this. And
Was he your high school class president?
yeah, he was in 77 AD. He was writing about a wonderful dark grape that appears to have been fairly newly discovered in Italy, and not around at the time of Virgil 50 years earlier. And he thought he named it Alberigica, and there's some thought that it may be the Syrah that we're still drinking. The grapes of Syrah we think came from a cross between Dureza and Mondes Blanche, one from Ardèche, one from Savoy in France. I think the genetic information suggests that that cross was there, but it may have been around at the time of Pliny, and also possibly even from the time of the Phoenicians in 600 BC. This is an ancient grape, unlike unlike Garif.
Right. Well, and you've got until about 1979, 1980. You had almost 6,000 years of continuous wine production in Iran, Iraq area, but
Yeah.
Iran specifically. And that's, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all because Iran is also the home of the original apple and the original pear. So they've got an incredible fruit basket of production in that country. But
Maybe even the Garden of Eden. What do you think were there corkscrews at that time? I'm not sure, but
yeah, I don't. They were having a little trouble with fig leaves around then, I thought.
that was it. It was one of the other ones.
But yeah, well, you really talk about the obviously we all know the Fertile Crescent isn't quite there, but I mean that entire area has got an incredible food history. So, and the grapes that come out of that area.
Joe, would you have the last question? Not in 2012.
Is Margaret there? Margaret?
There she is.
Surprise!
Cheers. What you think?
So this wine is really interesting. When I first picked it up, I had it covered because I don't trust the cat in my lap to not donate hair to the glass. Anyhow, the first thing I picked up was maybe a hint of eucalyptus, maybe something along the lines of graphite, and then started to pick up some more of the fruit components. And I'm picking up a little bit of cherry, but also maybe some black currant, and then something along the lines of espresso, maybe some really dark chocolate. It is a beautiful wine, and it's much richer and darker than I anticipated, or than I remember it being. And it's been a very long time since I've tried this one. This was in the tasting room when I started. And when the 15 came in, 12 became just a dream in my brain, and it's incredible to see it now. And it is so smooth, and there's so much to it. I wasn't prepared to answer any questions.
Sorry.
Caleb, what year did you start?
I started in 2016.
2016. Okay.
Yeah. It's been a little bit.
Been a hot
You know,
minute.
John, one thing that's, I'm thinking about the wonderful Merlot Cab Franc blends you've made,
Mhm.
and how Cab Franc takes us in a different direction than Syrah.
Right.
This Syrah direction is not seen very often in my experience, but this is
No,
terrific.
it really hasn't been. And I remember the first time we presented it, I'm going to dig up my tasting notes from 2012 from our meeting. But the first time we tried this, we had a mixed bag of reaction. And it was good, but it was a little more stringent because it was still fairly young. But
Yeah.
I'm really liking the way it's developed. But I love the way Syrah matures. I absolutely love the way it matures. So it was me being a bit of a smart aleck in response to Cab Syrah about doing this, but also the curiosity of how Merlot turns in much silkier the older it gets, and Syrah to me dives into those deeper herbaceous notes. Like Kaylin said, that eucalyptus that was there, but I mean, I'm also getting a little thyme, a little mint family member edge in there, like lavender or mint and thyme in there, so that develop of herbaceousness, not just green pyrazines, but it's developing into that really nice note. And Syrah's got a meatiness to it all on its own. And somebody just posted they're getting a little maple bacon off of the nose, and now I know what I want to do. I have bacon and I have maple syrup and an oven. but the nose here is really opening up. Unfortunately, this has only been open for about an hour. This wine really needs to be open longer. Bobby, do we have very much more of this downstairs in the library?
Bobby, don't say it.
What was that?
I can find out by looking up the inventory.
Well, it's out of that inventory. It's a different inventory.
Oddly enough, have access to that one too.
Dad, some of your older Via Telegraph, an older bottle or two, Chateau Neuf de Pop, that you get that wonderful mature Syrah on that.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Right.
Think how this would be with turkey.
Yeah.
This would be just wonderful with turkey. Yeah.
No, I bet this would be really good with duck.
I bet it would.
Yeah. If only we could do a roasted duck leg with some red wine reduction.
Our chef made some fabulous duck. Let me tell you, we had it on Saturday.
Mhm.
Saturday night, we had a reunion of about 40 people who had first met each other when we were all 20 about 60 years ago. But don't do the math, but it was a lot of fun.
They love their meal.
They loved the meal. They loved the duck and the wine that it was poured with. In that case, it was Cabernet, but this would have been even better.
Apparently, it goes well through a funnel.
Hey, really? With a little tube on the end?
I can see that.
I just want to know who the first member of your fraternity to do a keg stand on Saturday night was. Yeah.
My friends, so one of the guys has just published, it was an unusual group. Let me just tell you, in our group, Ronnie Schuhart had just published an 8-volume collection of the complete prose of T.S. Eliot. One of our guys won a Nobel Prize for curing melanoma. Then there were people like me. But it was a cross section of humanity. But it was
and somebody planted grapes in Texas.
Some dodo planted grapes. But this is not your standard bunch of frat guys. It was fun.
That's cool.
We probably are your standard bunch of frat guys. That's the truth. Truth be known.
Well, are you familiar with Omar Khayyam, the Rubaiyat, the poet from, what was he, 1600s, the Arabian poet,
Omar Khayyam.
Persian. Yeah. He
Yeah,
writes
sure.
a lot of, wrote a lot of verses about, he's the one who said, a loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thou, he wrote a lot about wine.
Lying beside me in the wilderness, John. Yeah, that you don't leave that line out. But the food wine, the bread and wine are good. But
No, it isn't. But he wrote a lot about wine, and it just makes me wonder. I've always been curious. Was that cradle of where all these vines come from? I just, that's it. I'm not saying anything else.
let's get back to Pliny the Elder.
So yes.
He's so boring.
This is nice. Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
We have a wine expert.
No.
This is
Hey.
Nolan,
My producer.
cool guy.
Pro golfer.
Yes, he's working on it.
He's good. He is a wonderful musician, and he was just at our piano, and he was like 2 or 3 sort of working pieces out, and I realized he wasn't just banging it; he was actually trying to fit it together, and that process has continued. It's been fun to watch.
I
Wow.
play a mean chopsticks. I'm just saying.
I used
John,
to
I
play
think-
piano, haven't in a long
I
time.
think I think I could give you lessons in the washtub bass, Sean. I think you're a natural.
I would think so.
Great. I go
I
from
don't
playing
say that
cello
just
to the
anybody.
washtub bass. Nice.
Isn't the washed up base a euphemism for putting out to pasture?
Ah.
Taking to the farm.
Let's see who doesn't get dessert on Saturday.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, Bobby, this was a wonderful pair, just a wonderful lineup.
Oh,
I agree.
Yeah.
Boy.
Okay,
Thank
a food time.
yeah.
Yeah, so Kaylin, are you ready?
No.
Okay, Bobby, go ahead. What do you think, Bobby? Pick a wine and a food.
Oh man, when y'all brought up the maple bacon, all I could think was poppers. So the jalapeno poppers, and this would be great. I mean, just the kind of the green vegetable, the kind of the spice and cream cheese that kind of cools it off, and then that maple bacon. I could do that all night.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, those roasted peppers would go very well with this wine, I think.
Right.
Joe or Doc, do you want to jump in and offer a food and wine?
I was thinking Tom Perini's ribeye steak, and then he makes that wonderful side dish. It'll come to me, but I was thinking one of
hominy?
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I already knew it.
For the moon.
And I'm remembering what Pliny the Elder always loved with this, which was lamb. So, rack of lamb would be just my call.
Okay, Caitlin.
Okay. So I think that obviously Michael's duck confit would be fantastic with the 12 Primavera, but I think with the 15 Primavera, the Merlot, so someone that works at the winery has told me about their pork chops that they make, and they cover it with almost caramelized French onions and Gruyere. I want that with the Merlot.
Ooh.
I know, been thinking about it for a long time. So Kyle, if you were watching this and you want to make
Of
extra,
course it's Kyle.
Of course, it's Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's high on my list for the Merlot pairing. Yeah.
That sounds
That's
lovely.
great.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we have on tap for next week, Bobby?
So we're going to go to a kind of a spring break lineup for the next 3 weeks.
Some beer?
And cigars.
And cigars.
He's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna do a white series, a red series, and a rosé, or white, rosé, and red series next 3 weeks.
Okay.
Next week, tapped into the library once again, and found the 15 Roussan, which is actually tasting really nice. Chilled it out, and it's just showcasing beautifully. 14 White Wing, which is also tasting very lovely, and then the 19 Semillon. So that together is nice. And actually, Nicole will be hosting that. And hopefully I can kind of tap in because I'll be camping at Gardner State Park next week.
Oh my
Oh, right on.
Beautiful.
Right on.
So
Look for Pliny the Elder. He's everywhere. You just have to see him.
There's a beer called that.
There is, that's right. Yes, there is.
And
Wow.
and I think we should invite him on. You know, spring break and all.
Right.
Now,
And that's
Bobby,
right before St. Patrick's Day.
Huh. Nobody, no one dye their wine green. Though I did work at a winery years ago that on the bottling line, we started putting green food coloring in one of the white wines every few bottles, put a couple drops in as it was being corked. It was being served at the winery for a celebration day. So a few of the bottles turned out to be green. It was kind of fun and funny. Yeah, I'd never want to be on the unemployment line again. All righty.
Good story.
So, well, for one, I'm very happy with all these wines. I'm actually loving this 12. And
Me too,
Alan,
me too.
I think
Bobby,
you win the
thank you.
prize for food pairing today. Yeah, absolutely. So I would just want to say to everyone, cheers. Thank you for letting
Cheers.
us in your homes again for another week, and we'll
Oh,
see you
man.
next Wednesday. So everybody take care. Good
Thank
glass of wine and a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh.